Hello and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Stephanie Rivers. Arizona's new immigration law has sparked countless protests and has some government officials in other states cutting business ties with the state to show their disapproval. News about the new immigration law spread faster than the swine flu of 2009. Too bad most people didn't get all the facts before they jumped on the boycott Arizona bandwagon. Yes, it's true, the governor of Arizona approved a state law. It requires immigrants to carry their registration at all times, and it also allows for police officers to question individuals about their immigration status in the process of enforcing any other law or ordinance. What about that statement do you disagree with? Is it the part about carrying your ID at all times? Or is it the fact that if you're caught doing something wrong that you have to prove your status? I don't think any part of it is disagreeable. Most people who drive in the United States have a driver's license or a driver's permit, and they use that as ID. Even non-drivers have some form of ID to prove who they are. So requiring legal immigrants to carry valid documentation with them at all times is a good thing. When I travel abroad, I always carry my passport because you never know when you might get stopped by a law enforcement officer and you want to make sure you have your papers with you. There's nothing wrong with that, and I don't see why we shouldn't have the same laws for immigrants here in the United States. Most people are asked for their ID only when they've just violated a law like a minor traffic violation, or when they're trying to gain access to a secured area like the airport or a military base. Otherwise, most people are never asked to prove who they are. The new law doesn't allow officers to ask people just willy-nilly for no reason to prove their status. And officers who use stereotypical means to stop people and do that could find themselves in the agency they represent facing civil rights law violations. Now, as a black woman in America, I know that racial profiling exists. I would never deny that. And I understand when critics say that this new law in Arizona will increase the incidence of racial profiling. But the law in Arizona is only an extension of already existing federal regulations, so it's really nothing new. Lawmakers in states that border Mexico, that includes Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas, they've seen their budgets for health care, welfare, and yes, crime prevention and punishment balloon out of control due partly to illegal immigration. Federal support funds have dried up, leaving state officials to come up with their own way to cut their budgets but still find money to pay for state programs and support their residents. So it makes sense that illegal immigration would be the likely target to help cut expenses. If this new law helps Arizona to cut expenses and cut crime, who can argue against it? As a tax-paying American citizen, I prefer that my tax dollars go to support myself and other tax-paying citizens, not to support people who don't pay into the system. That's not uncivil. That's not un-American. That's just plain common sense. Instead of President Barack Obama and other politicians voicing inflammatory statements about worst-case scenarios when it comes to the new law, I think they should applaud Arizona's good faith effort for trying to solve its own financial problems instead of begging for a handout from Uncle Sam. Those other border states, they should learn a lesson from Arizona that desperate times call for desperate measures, and they should come up with their own way to cut their own budget. To find out more about what I care about, go to the written version of my journal. It's at eurweb.com. Thanks, and have a super day.